A very rich man was about to propose to his longtime girlfriend. He checked her phone's location app and saw that she was now on the shore of a lake. He took this as a sign, deciding it was the perfect romantic spot, and drove to her place. When he arrived, he found that not only was she not alone, but she was fervently making out with his best friend. Wanting to never see her or them again, he dropped the ostentatious custom-made engagement ring and stomped it into the beach sand under his shoe. It didn't take long before he was out of both of their lives forever. I was born and raised in a working-class family. My parents both worked long hours at a variety of jobs to support me and my sister. She was a year older than me, so I became the guardian of my younger brother, though she often resented my guardianship. We may not have had the trappings of wealth, but we were the envy of many because of how close we were. Love was deep in our blood and permeated everything we did. We were as friendly as four people can be and attended church regularly. My sister, Anita, and I had our differences, but we had each other's backs if trouble happened to either of us. Anita went to our state college, but dropped out after a year to marry Darren Efland, the man of her dreams. From then on, all she wanted to do was love him and bear him children. Darren got a college degree and got a decent job in marketing that pays good money. He's also a volunteer firefighter. He and I get along pretty well. Since Anita had not yet completely emptied the coffers of the college our parents had scraped together money for, I was given the same opportunity at our state college. I attended a full 4 years and earned a bachelor's degree in occupational therapy. Fortunately, I was in the right place at the right time and was hired by New Directions, Inc., where I worked with people to help them regain mobility or alternative functions to cope with daily life. I really enjoyed my job. Helping other people was instilled in me by my family life, and I was well rewarded for it. I dated my high school sweetheart, Chelsea Higgins, throughout college, and miraculously we stayed together until I became employed. We met at church as teenagers and were like two drops of water alike. When I first met her, she was a regular plain girl, painfully shy and introverted. Slowly, over time, I brought her out of her shell and supported her growing confidence. She went from an ugly duckling to the proverbial swan, elegant and classically beautiful in every way, inside and out. Everyone who met her instantly fell in love with her for her looks and generous nature, but her heart was tied to mine and mine alone. Not wanting anyone else to capture her attention, I married her, and we began our happy life together. After 8 happy years, we had 3 wonderful children, 2 girls and 1 boy. 6-year-old Amber and 3-year-old Rhonda looked just like their mother, and 4-year-old baby Neil was my best buddy. We men stuck together to counteract all the estrogen in the house. We had recently moved into a very nice $950,000 house in a friendly neighborhood with great schools. We were an American family. Next chapter. Paul Blaylock decided to grace us with his presence this morning, Rachel jokingly exclaimed. I'm not late. There's still 1 minute to 8 o'clock. By the clock, I'm on time. You're just jealous because it's so hard for me to leave Chelsea every morning, and all you have is your cat, I said jokingly. Hey, my cat has been more constant than any guy so far. No offense. Tabby misses me when I'm gone, Rachel quipped. Okay, I agree, but it's not the same and you know it. How's the day shaping up? I asked. Seems like a pretty steady schedule. Aside from the regular clients, we have 4 appointments this morning. But Paul, I'm still trying to figure out how you did it. Did what? What do you mean, did what? How could you be at a movie premiere in California yesterday and then come back here to good old North Carolina this morning? Did someone hire you to impersonate someone else? What happened, Paul? Spill it, asked Rachel demandingly. Impersonate someone? A Californian? Me? Rachel, I've never been to California in my life. What the hell are you talking about right now? Is today April Fool's Day or something? What are you up to? I'm not up to anything. It's you. I saw you on TV last night at the movie premiere. It was you. I'm willing to swear it on a stack of Bibles. Let me think about it. What was the name of that new movie? I think it was Virgil by Candlelight or some weird title like that. When you walked on the red carpet, my jaw almost dropped to the floor. They called you Pierre Dumont. But it was you, your voice and everything. You faked that weird French accent. It was hilarious. Rachel, you must be on drugs or something. That wasn't me. I've never been to California or movie premieres. And you're saying this guy looks a lot like me? No. I'm not saying he looks a lot like you. He is you, exactly the same, identical in every way. I'm not kidding, she insisted. Well, they say everyone has a doppelganger. Maybe this guy is mine. So you say he's an actor? It could be worse. He could be a pimp or a drug dealer. At least my doppelganger has class, I laughed. We better get to work. We'll have to check this guy out and make sure you're just pulling my leg, I added. I had a busy schedule that morning, and while sitting at lunch, I decided to look up this movie and this guy to see what kind of shenanigans Rachel was trying to pull. I'll admit, the resemblance was uncanny. He dressed very differently than I did, but it was almost like looking in a mirror. He had a little mustache that I lacked, but otherwise he was an exact replica. I looked at his stats. Same height, same build, same age, same eye and hair color. But the main difference was that he was from Europe and I was American. Later that evening at home, I showed Chelsea what I had found online, and she was fascinated by the resemblance. Paul, you just have to get in touch with this guy and see if there's any connection between them. I've never seen anything so close in the appearance of people from two different countries before, she suggested. No, it's just a coincidence, I'm sure. Every person has a doppelganger. Now I know who mine is. There's probably a Chelsea twin somewhere who would love to meet you. But you know what? What? She cooed. Even if there was another Chelsea somewhere, your exact twin, she might look like you, but there's no way she could replicate your awesome, loving personality. Girl, you are one of a kind, I said, kissing her enticingly. She added, let's take this into the bedroom, cowboy, and find out just how unique we both are. And so we did. I no longer thought about the casual resemblance to this French guy. It was nothing more than a funny outburst for a day or two for a comical, casual conversation. Imagine my surprise when, 3 weeks after work, I came home to a very flustered Chelsea. Honey, you're not going to believe this. He wants to meet you, she declared. Who wants to meet me and why? Perplexed me. Pierre Dumont. It turns out he's as fascinated by your resemblance as we are, she enthused. What are you talking about, Chelsea? How did this guy even know I existed, much less want to meet me? It's me. I sent him a picture of you, you know, the one of you in the fancy suit at my cousin's wedding. I forwarded it to his secretary, and he's as interested in it as we are. He's coming here and wants to meet you Saturday at the Excelsior Hotel. Isn't that exciting? Exciting? It's been curious for a day or two, but I got over it long ago. Why did you send my picture without asking me first? Because it's stupid. You would have said no. Besides, it's not every day you get to meet a real actor. Even if nothing comes of it, don't you think it's an exciting opportunity? He's a big seller in Europe. He's very popular there in a TV series that's a big hit. What if he's a long-lost brother you didn't even know you had? Wouldn't that be something special? No, it wouldn't, and you're right. I wish you hadn't done it, I said. But why, Paul? What's wrong with it? She asked. You mean besides the fact that my parents separated me from my brother at birth? How do you think they would feel if I questioned my identity and looked for a family apart from them? I said hotly. Oh, I hadn't thought about that. But your parents are wonderful people. They'll understand. They're very lenient, you know that, she said. That's true, but I wouldn't want to do something that requires their forgiveness. Let me talk to my parents first, and then I'll let you know if I'm interested in going out with this guy. Oh, but you have to. It's already arranged and everything. You must go, she begged. I didn't arrange anything, you did. If my parents would rather I not go out with this guy, then I'm not going. Do you understand? If it's that important to you, you can go. I will not insult my parents, no matter how much you want me to go out with this guy, I stated. But if you don't go, you'll embarrass me terribly. How can you do this to me? I haven't done anything to you except come home from work today and find you've been doing something behind my back. If you're embarrassed, you've embarrassed yourself, Chelsea. I didn't do anything to embarrass you, nothing at all. She took on a dejected look. She knows full well how devoted I am to my parents and how I look up to them. Go ahead and talk to them, Paul. I understand all that. But show them his picture and explain how strange it is that you look so much alike. Maybe they'll be as curious as I am, and they'll give you their blessing. The next evening, I stopped by my parents' house and talked to them about the unusual situation. They were as puzzled as I was, but then shocked me with news they had never told me. My mom began the story this way. Honey, you're an adult now, and in light of this strange situation, it's time for you to learn something about yourself. Your father and I tried desperately to have children, but without success. The doctors say there's nothing wrong with your father. It was me, some inner defect that prevented me from having children. We couldn't imagine life without babies, so we adopted a child. Your sister was a godsend, and we couldn't have been happier with her. But after a year, we were contacted by an adoption agency to see if we wanted to adopt a little boy. The only catch was that the adoption had to take place within 24 hours. Otherwise, the opportunity would go to someone else. We prayed and prayed about it and felt that God was fulfilling our desire for more than one child. All the papers were sealed. When we signed the papers and picked you up, we had no information about who your biological parents were or any other information about your background. The only condition we had to agree to was to name you Paul. Of course, your last name will be ours. We wanted to tell you this many times, but we doubted that you would feel that your biological parents didn't want you or any other negative consequences. We did everything we could to demonstrate our love and concern for you and Anita. We would have let you know right away if there were any serious health issues with you or our precious grandchildren, but you all seem so healthy and happy. Why would we want to disrupt that? So we thought we'd tell you in case you have any reason to question your origins. You are our son, Paul, and nothing will ever change that. But if this man, this Pierre, has anything to do with you, we can understand how you might want to find out. You have our blessing to investigate if you want to, Paul. Who knows where it might lead? If I had taken even half a breath, all the buttons on my shirt would have come off. I couldn't love and be more proud of two people than the special couple I felt. I tearfully hugged them and thanked them for giving me what no one else could have gotten half as good: a loving home. Chelsea was relieved, and I reluctantly agreed to meet with Pierre Dumont to see if there was more between us than met the eye. Arriving at the Excelsior Hotel, we called the room Chelsea had been given. A stout man came down from the elevator and met us in the lobby. He checked us through a metal detector, explaining that it was just a formality to protect his client. When he saw me, he was surprised, saying that if he hadn't known Pierre was upstairs, he could easily have mistaken me for him. When we entered the presidential suite of the hotel, the guard said, "Boss, you won't believe this." And we went in. When Pierre and I first saw each other, we were mesmerized and at a loss for words. All facial features were identical, height and weight were within 2 kilograms. It was astounding. Pierre asked me to take off my left shoe and sock. I immediately understood why. We both had webbed toes between 2 identical toes on the same foot. We placed our palms against each other. Each toe was identical down to the smallest detail. We wrinkled our eyebrows the same way, and when we smiled, we had the same dimple. Chelsea couldn't help herself. Oh my God, it's true. But how? How can it be? Finally, I gathered enough composure to say, "Good evening, Mr. Dumont. My name is Paul Blaylock. I recently found out from my parents that I was adopted. What about you?" "The same," he replied. "As we speak, the legal eagles are digging into the past. I'm sure we both feel there's an inexplicable connection here, but still, I have to ask. Would you mind submitting a DNA sample so we can determine with certainty what we both think might be true?" Of course. I was just about to suggest the same thing. Seeing pictures is one thing, but being in the same room with you and seeing us together in person it's... I know, it's crazy, isn't it? Exclaimed Pierre. By the way, this is Helena Moreno, my girl Friday, who I can't live without. She is the one who answered to your wife and organized this meeting. When I looked over to greet Helena, my eyes nearly popped out of my forehead. She reminded me of one of those European mannequins that came off the pages of a fashion magazine. Though I tried to restrain myself, she felt my magnetic attraction, as if it was to be expected. She looked about 5 years younger than me, with a perfect body made for... I pulled myself together and greeted her. Nice to meet you, Miss Marino. She didn't say anything, but smiled politely and nodded as I shook her hand. And this is my dear bride, Chelsea. It's a pleasure to meet you, Chelsea, Pierre said in a thick French accent, taking and kissing her hand. My colleague is a very fortunate man, he charmed. I would like to invite you two to be my guests at the Excelsior restaurant. It's a 5-star review that I hope you will enjoy. Shall we? The waiter was generous in his service. I assumed that was the kind of treatment Pierre was used to. We were treated to polite conversation and speculation that we might be related. I agreed with Pierre that we should wait for the results of the DNA test before speculating further. Helena listened silently and attentively to our conversation, while Pierre and I asked and answered numerous questions about our habits, mannerisms, and behavior for comparison. We had more questions than answers that evening. Chelsea was excited at the prospect of our sibling bond and inundated Pierre with questions about his rise to fame and stardom. Pierre seemed pleased with her interest. He hoped she would soon be his sister-in-law and adored her. 3 days later, it was confirmed. Our DNA was identical, which only happens in 35% of identical twin cases. Chelsea was beyond thrilled when I got home from work that evening. It's official, honey. You and Pierre are identical in every way. You must have had the same biological parents. There's no doubt about that. You never had a brother before, and now you do. And he's rich as hell. He's a big star in Europe, and he's just now trying to make it in Hollywood. Can you imagine? Our kids are going to have a rich uncle. Chelsea, I don't care how rich he is. It has nothing to do with the fact that we were separated at birth for some reason and never knew about each other until now. That's the question I'd like answered, not how much money Pierre has in the bank. Honey, he called today. He wants you by his side when he announces to the world that he recently discovered he has an identical twin brother. He said he's never been so excited in his life. Helena has booked first-class tickets to take us Saturday to California, where he will hold a press conference over the weekend. A limo will pick us up at the airport. Isn't that exciting? Chelsea, I just found out for sure I have a brother. I'm not interested in all the hype associated with his acting fame. I have no desire to be the center of attention. That's his business, not mine. I'd rather he and I just spend some one-on-one time to get to know each other better and lay the groundwork for what I hope will be a great relationship in the future. We still have many questions to answer. For example, who are our parents? Why were we separated at birth? Why were we put up for adoption and not taken in by close relatives? Why were the records sealed? Why didn't our birth parents want us to be together? How did he end up in France and I ended up in the States, 2 different continents? Where are our birth parents now? Are they still alive? I know, honey. That's part of it too, and you're right. All those questions would be nice to have answers to. Pierre said he's flying in to see us Saturday afternoon and we'll be his guests at an expensive hotel. We'll have a nice dinner, visit a few clubs, and have a press conference on Sunday. I can't believe we're related to a famous actor. He's famous in Europe, Chelsea, not here in the States, but I'm sure he hopes to change that. I hope he doesn't use our newfound status as a publicity stunt to enhance his career. What does it matter if that's the case, dear? How can it be a bad thing? Do you want the paparazzi and celebrity hunters looking for us and bothering us here at home trying to get at him? If everyone knows about us, they might want to interview us about our life story and all that. Honestly, honey, I hadn't thought of that. Why are you being so stupid? Why can't we just be happy that something wonderful is happening in our lives? She protested. I just want to protect my family, especially my children. I've read horror stories of celebrities being harassed and losing the privacy of family members. I hope it doesn't happen to us, and maybe it won't. I'm just trying to handle it responsibly. You're always thinking, Paul. Whatever you think is best. But can't I be a little excited about it? Is it such a sin? She pleaded. Of course it isn't, dear. I don't want to spoil your mood. It's just that I want to remain calm until we have a comfortable relationship with Pierre. For all I know, there's going to be a flurry of publicity now, and then we might not see him for another year. I hope you're wrong, she thought. I checked on the internet. They say his fortune is about 400 million euros. I don't know how that compares to dollars, but it's still a lot, she enthused. Some days the euro is higher than the dollar, and some days they're equal. But you're right. He is a multimillionaire. But that doesn't matter to me. He's my brother, and that's what will always be my focus, I said stoically. I've already made all the arrangements. The girls will spend this weekend with my parents, and your parents will take Niall. That way it won't be too taxing on them, she said. That's a good idea. We'll have to take care of bringing souvenirs for everyone, I remarked. I'd never seen Chelsea so excited since I'd met her. It was a whole new level of enthusiasm. The limo dropped us off at the posh hotel where Pierre was staying. It was an emotional reunion as he and I shared a long hug like confirmed identical twin brothers. He sobbed at how genuinely we had both recently learned of each other's existence. It was a life-changing moment for all of us. I want you to know, Paul, that my people have found nothing but dead ends regarding both of our adoptions. Not only were the documents sealed, but they must have been buried somewhere, he grinned. That means we'll have to dig deeper. I've heard from friends about a man who knows a lot about this sort of thing. He's not cheap, but the price doesn't matter to me. I've been told that if there are any answers to be found, this is the guy to find them. Are you still okay with him digging into our origins? He'll start on my side, but eventually he'll dig in your backyard too. I just want you to be ready. I've already shared with you what my parents know, which isn't much. I've talked to them, and they don't mind me finding out any truth that might be discovered. Nothing will diminish or jeopardize my love for them, and they both know it. That's fine, Paul. It's the same on my end. They don't have the answers either. It is indeed a mystery, Pierre admitted. Your room is right next door. Your things are already there and waiting for you. Why don't you two freshen up and get dressed for a night out on the town? My treat, of course. We'll blow minds when they see us both at the same time, he grinned. I'm well known in the clubs. Helena met us at the club. She was stunningly dressed. She reminded me of a younger version of actress Catherine Zeta-Jones. I wondered for a moment how she squeezed all her wealth into such a tight little red dress. The smiling, raven-haired beauty extended her hand to me, and Pierre escorted Chelsea to our table. He made Chelsea giggle and laugh most of the evening. To make him feel welcome in our family, Chelsea danced half the dances with him and half with me. She seemed enamored with him and acted like she had known him for years. I decided it was a matter of her familiarity with his appearance. I politely shared 2 dances with Helena, not wanting to hurt her feelings. Sure, I was attracted to her, like most men, but I'm a happily married man and made that clear. Helena socialized mostly with Pierre and pretended to be interested in talking to me at times when my brother and my wife were on the dance floor. But Helena seemed chatty, almost condescending, as if she treated me with contempt for some reason, and I didn't understand why. Perhaps her sense of superiority was confirming her confidence in how beautiful she was. I could tell that Chelsea was very attracted to this new glamorous lifestyle. I didn't want to spoil her mood and decided to let her have a night on the town. I, unlike my vivacious wife, was not the least bit interested in this glamorous scene. I had never seen her behave so blatantly before. As we stood outside our suite before parting for the night, I respectfully shook Helena's hand and thanked her for a wonderful evening. Pierre kissed Chelsea on both cheeks and lips before leaving. As we entered our room, Chelsea preempted me. Don't say that. I know what you're thinking. It's a French thing. That's what they do. They kiss everyone for any occasion, she explained. You may be right, but I find it odd that he didn't kiss Helena or me. I grinned. She didn't answer anything. Along with Pierre, Helena, and his bodyguard Gerald, we rode in a limo to the press conference. It was there that he made a big show of discovering me and our story of how we, long-lost brothers who were never meant to be together, had ended up here after all. I stood next to him on his left and Chelsea on his right. Helena stood immediately to my left. Gerald was everywhere. I felt uneasy from the start. Dozens of cameras were taking pictures of us at a rapid pace. I felt like I was under a microscope. Reporters started pelting me with questions, many of them personal. My brother did not advise me to be prepared to make any statements. After I left several questions unanswered, Pierre gently pushed me closer to the microphone so that everyone could clearly hear my answers. It was obvious to me that he was planning an ambush to boost his career. I stepped up to the microphone, cleared my throat, and simply said, "I'm sorry, but I'm not prepared to make any statements at this time. I'm sure Mr. Dumont will be happy to fill you in on the details." I quickly stepped back, nearly bumping into Helena in the process. It looked like they were trying to keep me in front. Perhaps they thought that by being the center of attention, I would love it and get hooked. If that was their plan, they were wrong. Chelsea looked annoyed at my inaction. Pierre quickly grabbed my hand, bringing both of our hands up, presenting a united front in front of the entertainment reporters, and stepped forward to fill the void. He also asked Chelsea to talk about how she brought us together. She seemed like she was born to do that and cut loose for the reporters who couldn't stop clicking their cameras. As Pierre and Chelsea played to the crowd, Helena whispered in my ear asking what was wrong. I simply replied, "My name is Paul Blaylock, not Pierre Dumont. We may look alike, but our personalities are very different. This circus is not to my liking if you haven't already guessed." Helena looked shocked. "What? You're giving up your 15 minutes of fame?" she asked in bewilderment. "It's his racket," I suggested. "Not mine." Helena's face took on a new expression, as if she was trying to figure out if I was sincere or not. "Everyone I know craves that kind of attention. How are you different?" "I grew up in a loving family that taught me to be confident in who and what I am. I don't need the glitz and glamour that many others crave. I like things to be uncomplicated," I added. Gerald finally pulled us away from the noise after Pierre's show was over. "What's wrong, Paul?" he asked. "You fell behind me. Why did you stay away?" "Pierre, I did what you asked. I flew here, attended your press announcement, and had my picture taken with you at least 1,000 times. You didn't mention that I would need to give a speech, so I was unprepared. This is your department," I explained. Obviously, that's Chelsea's calling. She saved the day and kept the momentum going until they stopped asking questions. "You have such a tenderfoot attitude here, Paul. You really are a lucky man." Chelsea just glowed. Pierre continued, "Oh mon Dieu. Look at the time. We need to take you two to the airport to catch a flight. If you miss it, the next flight will be a red-eye, and I know you don't want to deal with that. Your luggage is already in the trunk of the limo. My driver will get you there on time. One more thing before you go. Tell him, Chelsea." Pierre nudged her. She looked like she was barely holding back. "Right. I almost forgot. Paul, guess who's staying with us all next week?" "Your mom?" I teased. "No, silly. Pierre. He said he's taking a break from work right now and has some free time. He said he wanted to get to know you better, so I asked him, why don't you stay with us next week and you two can talk all night long if you want? He can use the spare bedroom. Wouldn't that be wonderful?" "But what about his safety? Where will Gerald and Helena sleep?" I inquired. "Oh, they'll be nearby at the Excelsior," Pierre explained. "Besides, I have a few other ideas for security that I think you'll like. Thank you for the invitation, Paul. I'll see you tomorrow night then." Tears flooded our eyes as we both realized our permanent connection. We were both still in shock at the whole thing. Chelsea chattered most of the way home. I barely uttered 2 words. I was unaccustomed to being jumped on in my own home. I let her babble on and on. I picked up the kids and took them upstairs for their nighttime bath. Chelsea was constantly on the phone with her friends, cheerfully recounting the events of the weekend as they unfolded. As the evening drew to a close and we were getting ready for bed, she gave me a hug and signaled she was ready. Sorry, honey, time zone change. Tomorrow is going to be a busy day. Another time? I asked. You've never turned me down before. What's going on, Paul? You've also never invited a man we've only recently met to stay with us for a week without discussing it with me. I boiled over. Is that what's bothering you? He's your identical twin brother, for heaven's sake. I thought you'd jump at the chance to see him here. He's an amazing man. Wait until you get to know him better, she hinted. You mean the way you already know him? From the way you've been crazy about him all weekend, I got the idea you'd let him replace me in a heartbeat. Paul, you're jealous of your own brother? That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard out of your mouth. You need to stop that kind of talk immediately. Do you hear me? You're crazy. Really? What are you two going to do all day for a whole week alone in this house while I'm at work? Next week, you are going to be with him a lot more than I am. Maybe by the end of the week you'll be able to tell me all about my brother and all the things you've learned about him that I haven't had time to hear. And next week, maybe I can spend time with your parents and tell you all about them. I said hotly. You stupid asshole. I was going to give you some love tonight, but not now. She resented. I get it. You're saving it all for my brother, aren't you? Screw you, she growled. Not tonight, dear. I have a headache, I stated sarcastically. Needless to say, not a word was spoken between us for the rest of the night. Waking up early Monday morning, I didn't feel like apologizing. I was sure she felt the same way, so I quietly got dressed and slipped out to work. I'm sure she'd memorized the time of his arrival and would make sure Pierre was settled in. I, on the other hand, wanted to get back to work and get my mind off this crazy roller coaster ride. Rachel was ready to go as soon as she walked through the door 30 minutes early. How did you manage to get ahead of me at work? Did Pierre really teach you how to act like a professional? She joked. I'm afraid he hasn't. He's coming today to spend a week with me and get to know me better. Chelsea invited him over yesterday, and he jumped at the opportunity. I asked her what she's going to do all week alone with him while I'm at work. I was watching the entertainment news yesterday. I saw a lot of him and a lot of Chelsea, but not so much you. What happened? Asked Rachel. Apparently he wanted me to give a big speech, but forgot to tell me about it. He craves publicity, and Chelsea seems to too, but it's none of my business, so I just let them deal with it. Are you sure you want to leave that snake alone with your wife all week? Why do you ask that? I asked. There's not much news about him here in the States, but if you go online and search the English versions of some French publications, he has a reputation as a playboy. He's been married and divorced 4 times. Each time due to infidelity, and most of his partners were married. In a candid interview he gave a few years ago, he explained that married women are like catnip to him. They are a forbidden fruit that he finds irresistible. According to him, he can never be faithful to one woman and often juggles several relationships at the same time just to test himself. He's the exact opposite of you, Paul. Rachel warned. Thank you for the warning. I'd hate to think he'd go after his own sister-in-law, but he's not the first to do that, is he? I wouldn't cross him. I'll talk to Chelsea tonight and make sure she knows about his perfidy, I replied. Working with people in occupational therapy was therapeutic for me. It kept my mind occupied and I didn't dwell on unpleasant thoughts. I had mixed feelings about my new brother. Although some of the thoughts were disturbing, I was still searching for answers about who we were and how we ended up in different circumstances. I hoped that his men would be able to find out something concrete. I put my feet up and arrived home half an hour later than usual. I was surprised to see 3 truckloads of security guards outside my driveway and parked on the street. Something unplanned was going on. Upon entering the house, I found Pierre in the living room explaining to Roland, the foreman, exactly what he wanted to install. Seeing me, Chelsea walked over. A little late tonight, aren't you? She asked. She asked. She asked. As you know, Chelsea, every day is not like a day lived in a pattern. I'm not about to give up on a patient in the middle of a breakthrough. You know that. What's going on here? She smiled. It's a gift from Pierre for letting me let him stay here this week. I tried to get him to call you first and discuss it with you before doing anything, but he insisted. I see. So he asked you, as my wife, not to call me and let me know what was going on in my own home? She looked down at her feet. I thought you would be pleased. Pierre has had his men install a new state-of-the-art security system throughout the house. That way, whenever he's here, we'll be immediately alerted to the presence of any lurkers, admirers, or anyone else undesirable. And when he's not here, we can rest assured that the kids are safe and sound. Parents can never be too secure these days, Paul. And how much is all this going to cost us? I inquired. I already told you it's a gift. It won't cost us anything, she added. Maybe not monetarily, Chelsea, but it's already costing me the world in my own home. I would never have agreed to have this system installed without a lot of talking. I believe my name is on the title deed, isn't it? Shouldn't I have a say in any home improvements we decide to make? I'm disappointed in you, Chelsea. Pierre is strong enough to handle him on his own. And now I have to fight you too? I thought we were a team, I said in annoyance. What part of the word gift don't you understand, Paul? When someone gives you a gift, you say thank you and accept it with a smile, whether you like it or not. He is trying his best to do something nice for his new brother. Why do you want to take that joy away from him? Why don't you ask him if he wouldn't mind if I took a shower in my own home? After all, I'd hate to disappoint our guest. Did he bring sacred water for me? I spat. Go take your own damn shower, she bellowed. Dinner will be ready when you get back downstairs. I left her to tend to the kitchen and Pierre to his project management, and I climbed the stairs and took a long cleansing shower myself, searching for my best mental strength. After a few deep breathing exercises, I walked down the stairs with a smile on my face. After hugging and chatting with the kids, I took my seat at the side of the table. I usually sit at the head of the table. I thought Pierre could sit at the head of the table as our special guest. Is that okay with you, sweetie? Asked Chelsea in front of me in front of my family. Of course, I replied curtly. My brother will be welcome at our table. I didn't look up, but peripherally noticed Pierre and Chelsea smiled when I said that. What's this? I asked, looking at the food I'd never seen on our kitchen table before. Chelsea glared. Isn't it wonderful? Pierre brought authentic French cuisine so we can taste his homeland right in our kitchen. Okay, I'll ask again. What is it? Pierre jumped up enthusiastically. Allow me, brother. Today's delicacies are 3 of my favorite dishes: escargot, vichyssoise, and bouillabaisse. Escargot is an edible snail appetizer, served in a shell with a sauce of melted butter and garlic. Vichyssoise is a thick, creamy soup of potatoes, leeks, and onions served cold. And bouillabaisse is a heavily spiced stew of several kinds of fish and shellfish. Yep. What do the kids eat? My oldest daughter, Amber, smiled and replied, Daddy, we're having fish sticks. Mom said we should eat seafood like you adults, and we don't like it, she said, wrinkling her nose and pointing to the French cuisine. I looked at Chelsea. She knew exactly what I was thinking and what I was about to say. No, there were no more fish sticks left. There were only enough for the kids. Why don't you try something new for a change? It won't do you any harm to try a different culture, she said dismissively. Pierre looked amused but remained silent. Excuse me, I'll be right back, I announced. I walked over to the kitchen island, gathered some things, and made myself 2 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches before returning to the table. Really, Paul? Peanut butter and jelly? You're not even going to try it? She said. The kids clamored in unison. We want peanut butter and jelly too. Okay, Daddy. Can we have some? We don't like fish sticks. I laughed out loud. I guess I'm a kid at heart. I cut 2 sandwiches in half, gave each of the 3 kids half a sandwich, and went back to the island to make more. It was obvious that Chelsea was embarrassed by my behavior and disgusted, but I wasn't trying to impress my brother like she was. Truth be told, I don't think Chelsea loved French food as much as she pretended to. Until tonight, I had never once seen her eat any of them. Just as the kids and I were licking the excess jello off our fingers, the doorbell rang. Helena brought some papers for Pierre to sign and handed over a manila envelope. An Excelsior limo took her to the hotel for the night. Pierre looked at me and said, "That's it, Paul. Here is everything there is to know about our origins, about where you and I came from. Are you ready?" I nodded. "Go ahead, Pierre. Whatever is in that envelope is more than we know now." "Paul, Helena said my guys have figured out everything there is to figure out. If there are unanswered questions after this, they will remain unanswered unless some miracle happens. So let's get started." He quickly looked over and reread the papers before he began to read aloud. "According to this report, our parents were very wealthy. Their names have been permanently expunged from all available records, so we may never know their identities. The records themselves were minimal and sketchy. My investigator found a young secretary who typed up the papers allowing us to be legally adopted. She was young at the time. She has since retired, but remembered our story well from working with the attorney." He continued. "She said our mother, whose only name she remembered was Pauline, no last name, had given birth to twins. Her very wealthy husband, whose name she didn't give or remember, accidentally discovered that his blood type was incompatible with ours. The doctors informed him that he could not be our biological father. In those days, there were no DNA tests yet. Of course, he realized that his wife, Pauline, was unfaithful. She steadfastly refused to give our biological father's name because she knew her wealthy husband would destroy him in every way possible. In retaliation, her husband arranged for us to be separated and sent for adoption to different countries on different continents. She was never given any information about where we were or any other information about us. The only comfort he allowed her was to give us our names. You, Paul, were born at 7:45 p.m., and I, Pierre, was born 3 minutes later, at 7:48. You're my big brother." Pierre broke down and sobbed on my shoulder. He was inconsolable. We were the product of infidelity. Our mother's name is Pauline, but that is all we will ever know of her. We will never know who our biological father is. She didn't give up on him, even after losing both of us. She must have really loved the guy, whoever he was. Something about recognizing even that part of our history drew Pierre and I to each other and brought us together the way real brothers do. Pierre and I talked into the night. He apologized for installing the security system without my permission. He said it was a really great system and would protect the family and even himself when he was here, alerting us to paparazzi or celebrity stalkers. He said it would be insulting to ask him about the price. Money doesn't matter to the family, and I am his only blood relative. He said the installation should be completed tomorrow, and then we can get to work. I thanked him, trying not to show my annoyance. Chelsea retired to our bedroom, realizing that we needed to be together. It felt good. As I lay in bed, I touched her shoulder to talk to her. "Honey, are you awake? We need to talk for a minute, and then you can go back to sleep." She furrowed her brow, and without opening her eyes, replied, "What do you want? It's already too late. I'm almost asleep already." "I'm sorry, honey, but this is important. Rachel at work has informed me of a few things she's learned about Pierre that I think are important for you to know." "Like what?" she asked sleepily. "After finding out about my connection to him, she did some in-depth research on the internet. He's been divorced 4 times because of his wives cheating. He said in interviews that he's addicted to seducing married women, that he can never be faithful to one woman and juggles several women at once for pleasure. He's a Lothario, darling. You need to watch out for him. He may be so good at it that you won't notice until it's too late." "Is that what you're bothering me about? For heaven's sake, he's your twin brother, and I'm his sister-in-law. Can't you put aside your petty jealousy? Sure, he's rich beyond belief, but that's no reason to disparage your own brother. He was a perfect gentleman. Maybe you should take some lessons in that regard. Now get that silly nonsense out of your head and let's go to sleep before you wake the children with your irrational nonsense. I was annoyed that she so readily brushed off my warning and rolled over onto her back. Perhaps I had overreacted to the rumors that had reached me from Rachel. Come to think of it, she never told me that Pierre had been caught sleeping with any of his relatives, so I decided to leave it at that. When I got home from work Tuesday night, Chelsea told me what had happened during the day. Pierre had gone grocery shopping with her, something he hadn't done in decades. He was tickled that everyone mistook him for me and treated him as such. Being the consummate actor, he used his American accent and fooled everyone. She said she was amazed at how creepy it was to see and hear him as me. He liked the anonymity my role gave him. Kids liked having two identical dads, one at work, one at home. My stomach rumbled again. It turned out, however, that the security system was not yet complete. I was told it was almost complete. There was one part left, which had been ordered and might not arrive until next week at the earliest. The project manager, Roland, promised to bring the part himself as soon as it arrived. Pierre was upset that the system was not complete, but that's life. He had Gerald pay for a babysitter and took us to the Excelsior Hotel for dinner. At least there I had choices other than snails. There is a dance club on the lower level. It's pretty popular, but we've never tried going there yet. Chelsea danced the first two dances with me. The rest were with my brother. Since he was our guest this week, she did her part. Helena also dined with us and sincerely offered to let me dance with her, but I graciously declined. While Pierre and Chelsea were on the dance floor, I decided to have a little chat with Helena. "So, Miss Marino," she interrupted me. "Helena, please. Miss Marino is my mom," she giggled. "Thank you, Helena. I didn't mean to sound presumptuous. What is your background, if I may ask? Marino is Spanish, is she not?" "How perceptive. Yes, she is. I was born in Spain. My parents divorced when I was 7, and my mother moved us to France for a new job at the consulate. I've been living there ever since. I took English in school and learned Spanish and French in my native language." "Your English is very good. I can barely pick up your accent, except when you speak French with Pierre. Alas, I am not bilingual. I'm curious, are you Pierre's personal assistant, secretary, girlfriend, or what?" "Or what?" she replied. "What do you mean?" "It means I'm what he needs. If he needs a personal assistant or secretary, that is me, someone to run his errands, again me, to take care of anything or anyone he wishes, then I am it." "You mean there's nothing you wouldn't do for him?" "Mostly," she admitted. "He rewards me very well. Basically, my life revolves around him, his wants and needs, 24/7, and I don't come cheap." "But doesn't that make you—" "What? A professional escort? You can call me that if you want. For what I get paid, I don't care what you or anyone else thinks of me. Someday I'll retire and live in luxury the way I'm used to." "I appreciate your candor. I am not judging you, Helena. On the contrary, I find you mysteriously charming." She grinned at my remark. "I've never been called that before." "Only special people are called that," I joked. She looked at me strangely when I said that. The next day, Wednesday night, Chelsea was acting a little weird. She wouldn't look me straight in the eye, but she had made my favorite dish and waited on me hand and foot. I thought it was weird at the time, and I thought I caught Pierre winking at her, thinking I hadn't noticed, but she didn't acknowledge it. He was acting like a cat that had eaten a canary. I wondered if the tension meant something else was going to happen that I might not appreciate. Pierre was very friendly with me. There was an aura of something exciting coming from him, but he was keeping it a secret for now. He shared his childhood memories with me to help me get to know him better. His wealthy grandmother on his adoptive father's side had left him a trust of €1.5 million. He received a first-class acting education at the best universities in Europe, and his wealth began to grow like a snowball when he landed a spot on a very popular sitcom in France. He even talked about the possibility of us doing TV or movies together. I pretended to be interested, but it wasn't really like that at all. He seemed genuinely happy to have a twin and said that we were getting closer and closer every day, and he wanted to keep it that way. He urged me to consider moving my family to France to be closer to him, saying he would cover all the moving expenses. He said my education and professional skills would easily transfer there. I thanked him for his generous offer and politely told him that I would think about it, but that there was no way in hell I was going to take that step. When I got into bed with Chelsea that night, she gave off every indication of not wanting to lie with me. "What's wrong? What's wrong with you tonight, Chelsea?" "It's okay, Paul. Please don't push me. I'm trying to be a good girl and not blab." "Are you telling me you have a secret from me? From your husband?" "Let me guess. It's Pierre's secret you're keeping from me, right?" I swore I wouldn't say a word, but yes. I'm helping Pierre make a wonderful surprise for you tomorrow. Please don't ask any more questions. I'm about to burst. "You'll love it. You'll see," she said animatedly. So that was why she was so confused tonight. Why had Pierre gone to all this trouble? First, the very expensive security system, and now what else? Chelsea is beyond excited about what's going to happen tomorrow. What a disappointment. She said she'd make it up to me. I have a feeling I'm going to be unhappy with my surprise tomorrow. Thursday morning, I hugged and kissed my kids as usual before heading to work. Thursday at work, I felt a sense of relief at the normalcy and reward. It seemed that the people I had helped deal with life's tragedies physically were giving me so much more for my efforts. I couldn't imagine a more fulfilling profession. I knew I would never move to France, but I tried to think of a softer way to let my brother go. The day flew by quickly. I was almost afraid to leave my sanctuary for the tumultuous chaos that awaited me at home. I decided to face everything that awaited me. When I arrived home, I saw a gorgeous blue sports car parked on the street in front of my house. I wondered if it belonged to any of Pierre's friends or co-workers who had come to visit. If another celebrity showed up at our house, Chelsea would be bouncing off the walls. Her head would get so big that she would have trouble getting through doorways. Should a visiting celebrity be my surprise? I hoped not. Things were chaotic enough as it was. I parked the car in the garage, and the kids ran to greet me when I entered the house. Let just them keep me from getting lost and focused. Their hugs on my neck and kisses are irreplaceable. They are the joy of my life. I strained to see who or what would be my surprise of the day. When I entered the den, my jaw nearly dropped to the floor. Chelsea was dressed in an elegant black dress that fit her perfectly. "What do you think, honey?" she asked enthusiastically. "That dress looks expensive. Where did it come from?" I innocently inquired. "It came from Paris," Pierre interjected. "It's made of the finest French silk chiffon. I had it custom made to her measurements. Doesn't she bring it to life?" "Gorgeous." "As I said, you have a beautiful wife, mon frère Henri," he repeated. "She's been so good to me. It's just a small token of my appreciation," said Pierre, who was also dressed in a several $1,000 tuxedo. "I see. What's going on? And whose car is that parked outside? Do we have another visitor?" I asked. "Oh no, honey. It's just the three of us here. The babysitter will be here in a few minutes. Pierre insists that we celebrate again tonight. That's why we're dressed up like this," she informed me. "Yes," Pierre put in. "I took the liberty of ordering a new tuxedo for you, one just like mine, according to the measurements your lovely wife provided. It's lying on your bed." "Yes, dear. It's waiting for you right there. Why don't you put it on and we'll go celebrate?" advised Chelsea. I smiled weakly. "And what exactly are we going to celebrate?" "Wonderful news," she exclaimed. "But Pierre will tell you after you get dressed." 10 minutes later, I came down the stairs in one of my usual suits. "What? What happened? Why aren't you wearing your new tuxedo, honey?" she asked. "The pants were a little tight," I lied. "I couldn't manage them, but I'll be fine in this suit." "Idiots! I'll rip their heads off," exclaimed Pierre angrily. "I have no tolerance for incompetence," he muttered. "The tuxedo is all right, Pierre. There's no trouble with the suit. The problem is me. I've put on a few pounds lately and I've gotten too big for my pants, When I lose a pound or two, I'm sure it'll fit perfectly. Thank you for the gift of fine clothing on behalf of me and my wife. A gift? Ah, yes, the clothes. But that's nothing, brother. I have a lot of time and bonding with you to catch up on. And since you and Chelsea have been consummate hosts by inviting me to your place this week, I have 3 things I want to share with you right now before we head out to celebrate. The sports car parked outside was a new French-made Venturi fetish car. We had to work hard to get it here so quickly. It's named Fetish, given the sensations this car evokes behind the wheel. It's the French equivalent of the American Tesla, but it's much cheaper and has a lower profile. Did you know that the French were the first to produce an all-electric car? It belongs to you at no cost, my twin. The title is already in your name, and I dare say you'll be the talk of the town every time you ride it. Pierre only smiled at me. Nah, so that's what Chelsea and him were keeping a secret from me. The thought of how much a specialized car like this might cost rattled around in my head, but I hesitated to ask. We must be talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. I don't know what to say, Pierre, but I'm afraid it's too much. I cannot accept such an expensive gift, I pleaded. That's all right. It's already done, Paul. It is the least I can do for a man I have loved so deeply in a very short time. You are the one thing I never knew I always wanted. Now that you are in my life, I want nothing to ever separate us again. I want us to spend a lot of time together from now on. However, there is something else I would like to bring to your attention. Pierre held out a manila envelope to me. What is it? I asked. Open it and take a look, honey, Chelsea asked excitedly. I pulled out a stack of papers with my signature on each page. I remembered those papers well. I had recently signed these papers 6 weeks ago when I bought the house. Since that day, I had only made the first payment on the house. Right on top of it was a trust deed with a stamp and signature indicating it was paid in full. I may not have known the value of the car, but I knew damn well the amount of my $950,000 home loan. It was a 30-year mortgage. I suddenly felt slightly dizzy after realizing what I was looking at. But what? How? I mean, stammered I before Pierre interrupted me. I wanted to do something special for my twin brother to show you how much of an impact being in your life has had on me. I could buy you 50 houses like this and still be in your debt, Paul. The richness and intensity of the love and brotherhood you've already given me is beyond comparison. Do not even try to refuse. These 2 tokens of my love and affection for you both give me great joy. This is the beginning of a new life for both of us, and I can't wait to see our bond continue to grow. Isn't he wonderful? Isn't it wonderful, Paul? I sobbed with joy when he first told me that. I was stunned to the core, Chelsea exclaimed. It was all I could do to keep my word to Pierre and not say anything to you until he sorted things out. Now I'm shaking again at the generosity he's shown us. When I looked at my twin, we both had tears in our eyes. They were tears of joy, love, and admiration. This is so unexpected, Pierre. I can't find the words for it. I say again that it is too much, but I don't want to deprive you of the joy that is so prevalent on your face. I've felt that kind of joy with many of my patients. I am immensely grateful to you, Pierre. You do honor Chelsea and me, and we can't thank you enough. Pierre replied, Oh, 222222. We must hurry so we are not too late with our reservations. I have another minor matter to discuss with you, but it can wait until after our evening meal. We'll talk then, suggested Pierre. Chelsea and I hugged each other tightly and headed to the waiting limo. Helena and Gerald were waiting for us in the limo. Before getting in, I quickly walked around the Venturi fetish car and whistled loudly. Pierre marveled at my approval and said, She's a beauty, isn't she? I nodded in affirmation. Once in the limo, Helena, Pierre, and Gerald started talking in French. At least to me it seemed to be rapid fire. I didn't understand a word of what they were saying, but I knew they had business to catch up on and didn't mind one bit. I was still floating on a cloud after the 2 shocks I had just received. After being the recipient of an unprecedented bounty, I felt guilty for being so petty about the tuxedo. It fit perfectly, but I was stubborn about having something imposed on me like that. but the gifts of a car and a house were just prohibitive. I had never felt so small as I did at that moment. While they chatted in French during the ride, during which Gerald giggled a lot, and all three of them furtively glanced at me, I used my cell phone to sneak a look at the cost of a French Venturi fetish sports car. There weren't many here in America, but the ones I saw were priced in the neighborhood of $425,000. I suddenly realized that my twin brother had altruistically given me an amount in the neighborhood of $1,375,000 as if it were nothing. It was a truly humbling experience for me. We were taken to an exclusive restaurant whose chef was creating Epicurean delights. Not recognizing a single word on the menu, I asked the waiter to describe 3 specific dishes I was considering. When the word steak came up in one of his descriptions, I immediately chose that option. Pierre placed an order for Chelsea, and she seemed happy that he did. While we waited for our food, Pierre shared his idea. "Paul, I can't put into words how much this week has meant to me when you and your beautiful wife invited me into your home, into your life, and most importantly, into your heart." Saturday morning, I must leave for my home in France. Unfortunately, several business matters require my attention. It occurs to me that I would be an inconsiderate rascal if I did not reciprocate and invite you both to join me for the whole of next week as my guests. It would be even more wonderful if you could agree to stay there for 2 weeks rather than 1. We still have a lot to learn about each other, and this will give us both an opportunity to do so. I shall be busy with work during the day, as you were last week, but the evenings will belong to you. I should like very much to show you the best of France. I hope you will love it as much as I do, and at least consider moving there so we can stay close. Now that I have you in my life, nothing would give me more pleasure than having my twin brother around me every day. Could you ask at work tomorrow if you have next week off so you can come visit me? It would mean a lot to me. It's all as my treat, of course. Please, Paul. You have at least 10 days of unused vacation accumulated. What better way to spend it than to spend it in Paris and see the best of France? Pleaded Chelsea. It's true that I'm due 2 weeks of vacation, but I don't like it being taken away without giving Chelsea and I a chance to discuss things thoroughly in private. Apparently, she'd already come to the conclusion that she wanted to go. After just being overwhelmed by Pierre's unbridled generosity, I'd feel as small as a worm if I didn't honor his request. Besides, I genuinely wanted to get to know my brother better. It turned out that he was quite a remarkable man, more remarkable than I had previously thought. I can guarantee it, Pierre, and we will gladly accept your courtesy. I have seniority on the job, so I see no reason why they won't allow me to ask for a vacation, even if it's a short one. I will be sure to contact my supervisor in the morning. Chelsea and I are both looking forward to spending more time getting to know you better. The kids will benefit greatly from visiting another country. It will be the perfect vacation for our whole family, I shared. Ah, yes, the little ones. There might be a problem with them coming on such short notice, Pierre suggested. How so? My brother, when I asked her, Chelsea informed me that while you two have passports in perfect order, your children do not. And with all my wealth and resources, even I cannot rush the federal government to issue passports to your children overnight. It's simply not possible. With your permission, I will arrange for Helena, my assistant, to stay here and take care of all your children's needs while the 3 of us enjoy each other in my home country. If you are not comfortable with Helena, you may, of course, take care of your children at my expense, as you see fit. Passports. I had forgotten about that. We had mentioned that we would apply someday, but we didn't think of it at the time. As much as I hate to leave Amber, Niall, and Rhonda behind, it's still a great opportunity for Chelsea and me. I don't mind Helena being in charge of them if Chelsea doesn't, I agreed. Chelsea nodded in agreement. Helena contributed, I will guard them for the rest of my life. They are exceptionally well-behaved children, and I will be honored to take care of them for as long as you need me to. She seemed sincere. Pierre jumped up again. Then it is settled. I'll have Helena arrange our morning flight as soon as we get positive news from you, Paul. I can't remember when else I've been so excited. Thank you, brother, Pierre said. Chelsea grinned from ear to ear. If it was possible, She looked as excited as I was. Next chapter. Greg Dixon is the managing partner of New Directions, Inc., and is also among my many friends. When asked, he didn't hesitate to let me take a vacation and wished me well. He said he had read in the news about our twin situation and was very happy for me. I immediately called Chelsea with the good news. Helena was already with them and was getting ready to book the plane tickets and make all the other arrangements. Chelsea excitedly promised that we would both be ready to fly out in the morning. I was careful to ensure a smooth transition for my patients while I was out of the country. Imagine my surprise when Greg called me into his office at 4:45 in the afternoon, 15 minutes before my 5 o'clock flight. "Paul, I'm sorry, I really am, but I'm afraid I have no other choice. Carl Reed and Francine Walsh are on FMLA leave. As you know, the Family Medical Leave Act requires that we honor all such requests. They will both be off work on Monday. This will result in a major layoff. I'm sorry, Paul, but I have to cancel your vacation for Monday. There's no way I can do without you three key staff without compromising patient care. They swear they'll both be back on Tuesday, so you'll be able to take your vacation after Monday. To make it up to you, I'll even approve your vacation for a full 10 working days, so you can take 2 weeks off starting Tuesday. I hope you can live with that." But they've already bought the plane tickets and everything. We're ready to leave for France first thing in the morning. What do I tell them, Greg? Just tell them it's an accident that can't be helped. Look, I'm as dumbfounded by this as you are. I didn't realize any of them had been approved for an FMLA request, but when I checked, it turned out to be legit. I don't know what else to say, Paul. What if I don't show up on Monday? What then? Please don't even think about something like that, Paul. You're the best therapist we have. I'd hate like hell to lose you over something like this. We'll see what we can come up with, but I expect you here on Monday. After that, you can disappear for 2 weeks and you won't hear a word from me. Okay, dude? I was disgruntled as I drove home, hoping that my and Chelsea's tickets for Tuesday could be changed without too much trouble. The only upside to this development was that I could stay for 2 weeks straight. "This is terrible news, honey," Chelsea lamented. "How could they do this to you after all these years? I mean, you're the best man they have." Pierre, Helena, and Chelsea listened with interest as I explained the unusual circumstances. On the way home, I was wondering if I could move the cost of the airfare for Chelsea and me to Tuesday instead of tomorrow. I'll have a whole 2 weeks after Monday, but you and Gerald could fly out tomorrow in time to take care of business. We'll just catch up with you on Tuesday. Will that work? Chelsea looked down at the floor as if I'd given her puppy away. After all, this was the most exciting thing that had happened to her in years, and I was creating complications. "But honey, I've already packed everything for tomorrow," she protested. "Would it be too much if I flew to France with Pierre tomorrow to get an early start on our vacation? Helena will be with you all weekend to help with the kids, so you won't be alone. And on Tuesday morning, you can fly out and join your brother and me on this adventure of a lifetime." Pierre nodded in agreement with her suggestion, but prudently remained silent. I didn't want to disappoint her in case I insisted on doing my own thing, and Pierre agreed with whatever decision I made. Helena looked at me with a sly smile as Chelsea made her suggestion. I thought for a moment before saying, "Sure, why not? Besides, it would give me a couple days to try out my new wheels. I can't wait to try and stay alive in this beast." I grinned. Chelsea replied, "Of course, honey. You're going to do it. Isn't it all so exciting? Since your stuff is already packed and mixed with mine, how about I pick up all of our stuff tomorrow when we leave? Then you can leave Tuesday morning, free as a bird, and we'll meet you at the airport. Right, Pierre?" "Of course," Pierre agreed. "I'm sad that you won't be able to fly out with us in the morning, Paul, but I'm glad you'll have a whole 2 weeks to spend with me at my house. Play with your new toy this weekend. A mixed blessing, isn't it?" Early Saturday morning, my 3 kids, Helena and I, saw Chelsea, Pierre, and Gerald off at the airport. The kids were unhappy that they wouldn't be able to go to France this time, but I promised that I would soon make them all passports for next time. That seemed to reassure them. I told Helena not to worry about babysitting until Monday morning. Since I would be home, I would take care of their needs in Chelsea's absence over the weekend. She seemed very disappointed that she wasn't needed and tried her best to change my mind. For some reason, she became very assertive. I stubbornly refused her kind gesture, and eventually she nodded and went back to her hotel. I wondered if she was losing money because I wouldn't let her help until Monday. Perhaps Pierre had engaged her for that purpose. It wasn't a burden for me to do the occasional single dad duty, so the four of us fell into a familiar routine. Chelsea had made Amber promise to help with her younger brother and sister before she left, and she took to her role like a duck to water and immediately began bossing them around. I was questioning whether to send Helena when it occurred to me that I wouldn't be able to play with my new Vision Fetish sports car. It wasn't suitable for family trips, so I took my regular car, a green Chevy Tahoe, out of the garage and put the blue Vision Fetish in its place to protect it from the weather and prying eyes. I went back to the room where my three angels were watching their new favorite cartoon. It changes every week. Saturday afternoon, after feeding the kids lunch, I rang the doorbell. "Hello, sir. Are you Mr. Dumont or Mr. Blaylock? Frankly, I don't see the difference." "Paul Blaylock." "Mr. Blaylock, I'm Roland from the security company that installed your new system earlier this week. May I come in?" "Sure." I opened the door for him to come in. "I thought you weren't coming back until next week. Something about a missing part, I assume." "Yes, sir, that's right. The key component arrived earlier than expected, so here I am. You know how it is. Always under-promising and over-delivering to keep the customers happy. If I have a few minutes on the computer in your office where we integrated the system, I'll get you up and running quickly." And I followed him to my home office where he immediately got to work on my system. All that's left to do is install this security key into one of your USB plugs. Your system has been working relentlessly since we installed it on Monday. The last aspect was accessing the DVR files. This security key allows you to access our secure cloud servers. It is programmed to access your files from this single location. If you have this computer and this key, you can access all of your files and no one but you can. No client can access your files, and you can't access anyone else's files. This is an extra layer of protection for you as our client and for us as your provider. We take the security of your data very seriously. Cameras are installed in every room of your home except bathrooms. This also applies to the bell cameras. They are all motion and voice activated. Once the activity and sound stop, a file is logged with time and date stamps for your records. Keep in mind that you will not be able to delete any recordings directly from the cloud. You can only access them. We do have a procedure for deleting records, but it involves notarized forms and paperwork. Roland continued, "Okay, now you have it all set up. Would you allow me to demonstrate how to access your records?" I nodded. 2 clicks and a screen with many sections opened in front of me, displaying all the numbered cameras in real time. Another click took him to a series of log files of past recorded events related to my unique account number. He randomly clicked on one of them, showing us all eating in the kitchen that night as I made peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for French food night. Then he clicked on another random file for Wednesday afternoon, and after a few seconds he awkwardly clicked to close the file. I apologize. Please don't be embarrassed, sir. We see files like this all the time. You and your wife were obviously enjoying a vacation together. The system doesn't know when to record and when not to record. You can easily disable the camera for a certain period of time to prevent unwanted private recordings like this one. Just follow the links and everything will be done for you. Do you have any other questions, sir? Yes, just one, if I may. Can I download and save any of my archived logs for playback as a separate file on your system? Yes, sir. This is one of our most popular features. Many customers build their own personal libraries of such files. When viewing any of your files in the cloud, simply right-click anywhere on the playback screen and select Save As. The files belong to you, and you can do with them as you see fit. We protect them from unauthorized access in the event of a crime such as robbery or assault. For your protection, we maintain the chain of evidence required in many legal systems. You have been very helpful, Roland. Thank you for your time. We shook hands, and he drove off in his truck. I sat there in a daze. My mind had exploded, and I was trying to get my brain to function again. The tape showing Chelsea and I doing this wasn't in the master bedroom where she and I always had fun, and I was at work at the time of the tape. She wasn't doing it with me. Rachel's premonition had come true. Of course, just because I had only seen a moment of them having fun in the spare bedroom didn't tell me the whole story. I wanted to know as much backstory as possible. I immediately decided to download and scan all the recordings made before they left for France. I wanted to hear all the conversations, as well as learn about everything they did behind my back. Apparently, Pierre had not quite correctly visualized the actual working state of the security system he had ordered. He mistakenly believed that it was missing parts that prevented it from functioning. It must have been nice to have a twin brother for a short time, but I knew I would be without a brother for the rest of my life. I realized that my hard drive wasn't big enough to hold all the files I had, so I started quickly scanning each one looking for the ones where Chelsea and Pierre were in the same room or on the same property. I made notes in the file names and dates and timestamps to keep everything in order. Chelsea texted me an excited message at 3:15 p.m. Chelsea, just arrived in Paris. It's already 9:15 p.m. here. I'm 6 hours ahead of you. The nightlights are amazing. I'm sure they are. Chelsea, how is Helena? Me, I don't know. Chelsea, isn't she with you? Me, no. Pierre is going to be so upset with her. She was supposed to be helping you. Me, I don't need help until a month from now. I sent her to a hotel before then. Chelsea, he will still be disappointed with her. Me, it's all my fault. Blame me, not her. Chelsea, if I call now, will I be able to talk to the kids? Me, sorry, I'm going to bed. Maybe later. I lied. Chelsea, okay. I'm not sure when I'll call again. Times are different. Me, okay. Chelsea, I'm really excited. I have to go. Me, okay. Chelsea, say hi to the kids. I love you too. Me, okay, bye. Chelsea, hugs and kisses. Me, bye. She didn't even notice that I didn't return her affection. I wasn't ready for a confrontation. But I wondered why Pierre was upset with me for sending Elena away. Did he think I was incapable of taking care of my own children? I packed up the kids and took them to Costco. 5 TB external hard drives were on sale for less than $100. I picked up 2 of them. Of course, while we were there, we had to go through the toy department, even though there aren't many of them there, except during the holidays. I let them each pick out one item within my cost range, which seemed to put them at ease. We stopped at McDonald's on the way back, and they expended a huge amount of energy in the indoor play area. We grabbed some fries and a milkshake to hold us over until dinner. Back home, I continued scanning the magazines that took up the rest of Saturday afternoon. With a mental exhale, I finished my quick search and ordered pizza for dinner. My trio could eat pizza 3 times a day and never once utter a word of complaint. When I tucked the last one in for the night, I realized they had trashed the house. I smiled at the fact that I had the honor of cleaning up after them. It wasn't an obligation for me. There was nothing more important in my life right now than the 3 of them. I tried not to think about what I knew Pierre and my wife would be doing tonight and before I arrived on Tuesday. Who was I kidding? There was no way I was going to get to sleep anytime soon, so I busied myself with downloading to my new external drives all 26 numbered files I had set aside for in-depth study. I had enough for one, but it almost completely filled up because the files were huge due to the high-definition format in which they were recorded. I ended up dozing off somewhere around 2 in the morning. I didn't need to set my alarm clock because 3 hungry kids were pushing me out of bed at 7 in the morning to make my signature pancakes. No, I didn't get enough sleep. And yes, the kitchen was a mess afterward. And yes, the kids had syrup all over them. But I still didn't mind one bit. Just as I put them away and got the kitchen looking presentable again, the phone rang. "Hi, honey. Can you hear me all right? I'm calling from France," said an animated voice. "Oh, hi, Chelsea. Hold on a second. The kids are here. They just finished breakfast." Without another word, I handed the phone to Amber, who carried on the conversation for a few minutes. One statement caught my attention when Amber said, "No, she didn't stay the night. She's not here. Daddy is looking after us himself." Why would Chelsea ask our daughter if another woman had spent the night here? I whispered to Amber to pass the phone to Neil and Rhonda to her. When 3-year-old Rhonda finally said, "Okay, Mommy, it's Daddy," I took the phone from her and turned it off so it wouldn't ring again. Chelsea could infer that Rhonda had accidentally turned the phone off and assumed that she had failed to talk to me. I waited 15 minutes before turning the phone back on. Almost immediately it rang again, but surprisingly it wasn't Chelsea. "Hey, Paul! How are things going with your newfound twin?" I couldn't help myself. I broke down and sobbed while on the phone with my sister. We may not be blood relatives, but our love and bond far surpassed anything I had ever felt for Pierre. "Anita, thank God you called. I'm about to go crazy trying to get to the bottom of this." "Get to the bottom of what, Paul? What's going on? Did Chelsea's plane not make it safely to France yesterday?" "Yes, it made it. But that's not the problem. Chelsea is cheating on me with Pierre, and it's killing me inside." "Cheating? Chelsea? I can't believe it. Are you sure?" 100%. I have to watch a bunch of videos to see and hear what was going on behind my back to get a clearer picture. But Amber, Neil, and Rhonda come first, while Chelsea is in France and I'm here with them. Anita interrupted me. "I'm really sorry about that. Shit, the cheating. Don't say any more, Paul. I get it. Darren and I were planning on taking our two of us to the water park today, and I called to see if you wanted to join us. How about you swing by in about 30 minutes and we'll pick them up from you for the day?" "I can't do that to you, Anita. 5 kids at the same time? Are you kidding me?" "No need to worry, little brother," she grinned. "Mom and Dad will be there to help. They love nothing more than to spoil all 5 grandchildren at once. We'll have them back by 8 o'clock at night, fed and totally tired. How's that sound?" "Sounds like a lifesaver to me, sis. The kids can have some real fun tonight, and I can go through all these notes and try to put something coherent together to prepare for the confrontation. Pierre is very rich, so I need to be extremely careful to confront him with only hard facts." Anita and I hugged as heartily as I had never hugged in my life as she left the house with my 3 children in tow. End of Part 1. Part the 2nd of May be coming out in 10 hours. Write in the comments if you're waiting for it. Also, give a like under this video and subscribe to my channel. I hope you enjoyed this video.